It's actually 12 days to the elections. Okay. The rallies are still on, the campaigns are still on, engagements are still on by the presidential candidates to Nigerians. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the program, the various presidential candidates have brought out their various documents. And as Nigerians, have you bothered to take a look at it? You can actually click on it on your phone. For those that do not even have perhaps the Android phone to download those documents and read. The presidential candidates have been transversing across the country to convince the electorates why they need to vote for them. Today I'm focusing on the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, and why Labour Party thinks that they are the party to beat, and why Labour Party thinks that at this point, Peter Obi can do the work, and he is the best candidate to be the next CEO of Nigeria PLC. Welcome to you, Mr. Ozigbo, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Valentine Ozigbo is the special advisor to Peter Obi on technology and strategic alliances. He was the former chief executive officer at Transcorp Hotels. Is he chief executive officer or group managing director?
I was both CEO of the hotel for 7 years before I became the president and group CEO for another year.
Okay. So let's get started. Peter Obi did say, I would like to hear from you.
Yeah.
Peter Obi did say that he wrote his manifesto himself. Is that true?
What he's talking about is he inspired every word of the manifesto. He is convinced, he took ownership of everything that happened and the content of the manifesto. Does not mean that he didn't get help from people who are taking the notes, typing it out, cross-checking, proofreading, and all that. So he owns it, and that's the important emphasis here.
Okay. What do you mean by he owns it?
Taking ownership. So it's not going to be one of those that will say, I didn't write it. I don't know what they put there.
Inside?
No, he owns every word. He's committed to delivering everything that you see there. That's the difference with Peter Obi.
Why does he think, and I've had Peter Obi on this show for a few times, or I've interviewed him many times on this program, and but I would like to know what his psyche is, especially this period, with those of you that have been working with him, going on rallies and all of that. I'd like to know what his psyche is around being the president of Nigeria, why he thinks he's the best man for the job.
Several reasons. So let me take you back a bit, because it's always good for our listeners to understand really what is important. For me, for us to get it right as a country, we all know where we are. We know how things have deteriorated over the years and actually getting worse by the day. So what is important? When you have candidates before you, what should you look out for? It's very important. Far more important than actually looking at manifesto, because you can always hire anybody to write stuff for you. So, because if you're talking about a promise, for instance, without a promiser, who is making that promise? Is it believable? Is it to be trusted? What are his track record? You get it, you miss the point. So there are 4 things that are important, and I'll run that through very quickly. First is the personality, the candidate. Character of the candidate is far more important than what he's saying. If somebody is a liar, there's nothing he's lying about I'm interested in. If somebody is notorious for not keeping to his words, what do I care about what is coming from his mouth? So character of the person is by far the most important thing. And that encompasses every other thing. His humility. Does he think he knows it all? Is he a good listener? Is he somebody who is compassionate? How does he engage and relate with people? Does he think he's a god? Or he thinks he's equal with every other person? So that is what actually sets Peter Obi apart. Secondly, the party you're also running under is critical. Today, those people that were actually touting structure and all that, they've seen that their structure is actually a liability to Nigerians. Because what you see in some of these bigger parties, conglomeration of people who have diverse personal interests and don't care about people of Nigeria. So what we have in Labour Party is a party that's given us that peace and serenity where you get into office, You don't care about personal interest. You're focusing on what is God saying and what is good for Nigerians. And number 3 is the process of your emergence. When you have emerged through a process where people put you there, you're going to put people first in your whatever you're doing. In the case of Peter B, you know it. Everybody knows it. Across all demography, ethnic nationalities, the diasporans, he is the choice of the Nigerian people. He's not buying his way with money like others are doing. That's the major difference. If you ignore these 3 things and jump into manifesto, you get it wrong. So these are why P2B is by far. That's why the youth of Nigeria are jumping over around him. And now going to manifesto, he even has the best message, believable message. And he will tell you what he has done in the past, not just what he's about to do. If you tell me what you're going to do, prove to me you've done it in the past. If you say you're going to fight corruption, how would you fight corruption? P2B is not, people can tell you, he's not just that he is not corrupt, he's not corruptible. There's a big difference. Do you know what it means to run a state for 8 years, no penny missing, and you do all the work, come first in the key things that are important, and still left that humongous amount of money for your predecessor? Who else has done it? So when you see the person and character of P2B, this election shouldn't be holding. To be honest, others should be asked to stop running.
Are you people really now overconfident that
No,
you're
it's not
going to
even.
take it?
You know the beauty of this?
You're going to be victorious and triumphant at the end of
I
it?
thank God that every poll has predicted that we're the winners. Every single poll. Not one exception.
But those are polls, actually, and those are a poll or a survey was done with like a sample size. I think the highest I've seen in the thousands. But we know that 93 million people are registered voters, and some of those 93 million voters do not have the Android phones to go on Twitter to.
Nancy, I'm happy we're discussing this,
yes.
But if you actually understand numbers and
I'm a numbers person, you should know that.
Statistics well.
Yes.
Sampling, if you get your sampling right, it doesn't matter whether you poll 100,000 people or 2,000 people. What is important is the sampling you're getting. Is it diverse enough? Does it predict the future? And checking what is the margin of error and the confidence level. That's what is important. And what I've even done just 2 days ago, yesterday, I was on another channel, Arise. This morning, I was on channels. And now I'm here in AIT. And I've posed the challenge. And the challenge I'm saying, take your camera, please, go around the streets of Nigeria. Go to those women who don't have Android and do your polling. Record it and tell Nigerians. Young man did that in Ogun State. When the poll came out and showed that we are number 1 in Ogun State, number 1 in Lagos, number 1 in Oyo, number 1 in Ekiti, they were doubting it. He took his camera, went to the street from the market women to the taxi drivers and co, and they were polled 80 people, just 80. Out of that 80, 51 said it's P2B. Only 20 said Jagaban. 8 said Atiku, and 5 said Kwankwaso. That is what you're seeing across Nigeria, even in the northern parts. So what I'm here to assure you, not only are we comfortable that we're going to win, we're even working harder than those who are in the bottom.
Okay, I will come back to working harder than those who are in the bottom and what you're doing to perhaps emerge, for P2B to emerge as the president-elect come February 25, if elected. But the question also is around issues that have been raised by other parties concerning this polling. And
okay.
I guess those of you in the Labour Party must have heard. Yesterday I spoke with the presidential candidate of the NNPP, Kwakwanso, and he's even raised it. He did not just only say it yesterday, he's raised that concern that we should be mindful of polling and for Nigerians to go home, or for those of you in the Labour Party to go home and think, oh, the election is done and dusted. In fact, he even spoke about the security agencies taking note of that. In case that situation doesn't happen, that P2B is not elected on February 25, that can cause or send the country into a chaos. What are your responses?
So for me, there is no other way of predicting how somebody will act by not asking the person. So there's no closer way of knowing how this election will pan out than going to the streets and asking. And not just the phone polling, there are a lot of face-to-face polls. And I have seen the first next year poll, for instance, that you know what they did? They abandoned the urban centers. They abandoned school environments. They went to the nitty-gritty, the home of the rural communities, where people maybe not even have phone to do their polling. You know what they did? In each of the senatorial zones, they picked one PDP state and one APC state. And in that result, P2B still came first. What I also said to people, please don't take these polls, go and do your own. Ignore these ones. You go and do your. We have been privy to see APC polls and PDP polls. Do you know what usually go on? They are killing themselves in their own room. No, this poll is wrong. This is wrong. Their own poll, they paid for it.
No, but in their own poll, for example, the APC poll, they said they've done polling. I've even heard Governor El-Rufai speak about their own polling, and their own survey put APC at the forefront to win this election.
When you see, that's the point I talk about character. Who is El-Rufai? Yes, he's governor, but who is he? Check his track record. Check what Obasanjo has said about him when he was his minister. I have a copy of that APC poll. Peter became first. Let him prove it. Let him share with you. I challenge him today to share that poll. And I'm going to show you that poll before I leave your studio. What I'm saying to you is that they know the truth. APC knows. PDP knows. So let's not, and for me, let's even go beyond the polls. What is interesting for me is that we are seeing possibility of a new Nigeria. I am here to talk about those issues that really matter, which our presidential candidate have been talking about everywhere he goes. How do we take back this country? The reality that even you, Nancy, I can challenge you, you're tired. I can do your poll in this AIT environment. You're all tired of this environment. Everybody wants a new change. You can't be talking about an old order when you want to change. That's the truth of the matter. And when they say it's only youths, only people in the urban center, that's not true. Only those in social media, they forget the power of social media. Social media controls the world today. Everything, those who know are in the social media. Even those who don't know will hear from those who know. Because those who know will also feed them, send money, and empower and influence them. So what I'm saying to you is that if there's any reason for anybody to be hopeful about Nigeria today, you will know the answer. The answer is P2B. The reason why some people who are traveling and who have double passport are looking at how to cut their trip, or those who are even in diaspora looking to come back to Nigeria, they're all waiting for P2B to emerge as the next president.
Okay, you did talk about earlier on that we should judge a person, the personality. You also spoke about the character.
Yes.
Let me also remind you that part of what brought in President Buhari in 2015, part of what the APC campaigned on at that point was that President Buhari has the personality. President Buhari is not corrupt and is incorruptible. President Buhari has character. But in the last 8 years, we've seen how, of course, under his administration, there have also been some wins. His party will say, some Nigerians will also say so. For some other people, a lot of things have also gone awry. How do you juxtapose that? Is it about now personality, character, that we Nigerians should talk about?
And more.
Because we've had a president that has exhibited that and was voted on that
I
premise.
will educate you on this.
Shouldn't we go beyond that in terms
we
of
must,
Nigeria has a lot of issues right now. A debt burden, if the ways and means of the CBN is securitized, about 77 trillion naira. Massive unemployment at 3.3%, perhaps after South Africa, in Africa. Inflation, double digit, 21.3 at 4%. Poverty rates, 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. I'm not even talking about monetarily poor. This is multidimensionally poor. So I can reel out those statistics for you. And P2B definitely knows all those statistics.
Correct.
I'm glad to say he's also a fan of the show because he watches. I don't know for now, but yeah, exactly. But the thing is, the way Nigeria is right now, shouldn't we go beyond this personality, character, and all of that, and to the person that can fix all of this, perhaps even with a magic wand, because Nigerians are not patient anymore?
So I'm happy we're emphasizing the things that really
matter,
are important. And I don't want to go too much about current presidency of Buhari. Some of us also didn't quite believe the narrative. because it's not just the character. There are 4 C's we usually emphasize: character, competence, capacity, and compassion. You know, we always will tell you, P2B is not just the best because he is humble, he is approachable, he is somebody with positive track record, but also he's a wealth builder. He has succeeded in business. He knows what issues are. He has fine solutions for, fine, as in the best of solutions you can find. That's what he has. And he is very clear in his mind as to how to solve this problem. And it's very convincing, he's very compelling in the way he shapes the solution. So there's a whole lot of difference between what we've had and what we're about to have. So what we are passionate about is we need somebody. If you want to hire somebody today in your personal company, first thing you check, you do a reference check. What has he done in the past? We're not just talking about court following. What has he done in the past? Where has he succeeded? What has he run before? P2B is a bunch and a bundle of success in every single thing he has ever done. At age of less than 40, he had already become very successful in different things and become chairman of banks and different corporations. And then eventually became a governor. You also saw his track record. He was the best in education, best in healthcare, fantastic road network, and security. He did it extremely well. So when you have these records, don't jettison them. That's the most important thing. I'm also now adding that yes, the promise they're making is important, but not as important as the promiser. So when you bring all that together, make sure every person ticks all the 4 boxes, not one box and avoiding the other. P2B ticks all the 4 boxes. Who he is, platform is running under, the process of his emergence, and what he's committing to delivering for Nigerians. And let's talk about those issues you've mentioned now. Insecurity, poverty everywhere, multi-dimensional poverty. Talking about unemployment, 35%, youth unemployment over 50%. All of those negativity. That's even another reason to ask, who brought those things? Who? Between PDP and APC, they keep debating who did, who has stolen more money, who is. Can we move on from those past? Can we just shift away from those past? Hear what P2B is saying. What will I do in the area of uniting Nigeria and securing Nigeria? You have his blueprint. He is very convincing, telling you. He will look at, first of all, the architecture of security, increasing the manpower, providing more equipment, more training, leveraging technology, doing all of that, and leading from the front. For me, I am convinced that if P2B could deal positively with Anambra insecurity issues when he was governor, the way he did, and with the way he also listens, and not thinking he knows it all, getting the right team, there's no way he will not solve the problem of Nigeria security-wise. Because he knows everything is going to depend on it. We need a safer Nigerian environment for everything to thrive, whether it's tourism, whether people visiting, whether unleashing the power of private sector, whether running business or moving Nigeria from consumption to production. And that takes me to that issue, especially on the economic side. What does he do on that economic side? For him, he has kept emphasizing the biggest asset that we have in Nigeria, which is the vast uncultivated land in the north. So he's going to lead an agrarian revolution where we will get every farmer, everybody, and unleashing again the power of private sector, because government is not going to do it themselves. Providing the environment, the private sector comes into being. And with partnership, PPP and all that, pushing agrarian revolution where we begin to cultivate, feed ourselves, and then have feedstock for industrialization and ultimately export. And with that, we stabilize our currency, manage food inflation, and before you know it, magic will begin to happen in Nigeria. And with that, a lot of jobs will be created. And if you move on to that, to creating the 4th industrial revolution, and because all we are saying here are the basics. When people fix road, and those are the basics. How do we catch up with the rest of the world? Is leveraging technology, scientific advancement. Those are the areas. And then we go further. All of these are listed in the manifesto, one by one, and engage him at any point in time. And he's willing and happy to be everywhere to defend this. But when you engage the other candidates, first of all, you won't even see them available. How much more ask? They just go, speak, rabble one or two things in a rally, and people will make noise and they move on. I want to bring such people to lead us. And Nigeria is already sick. You want to bring people who are perhaps even sicker than Nigeria, please.
Okay, we'll delve into a bit of the manifesto. And if my team has that, because I can see it here, what we've done on the show, like I said at the beginning of the program, I've gone through at least the 4 parties. I've read through their manifestos, and yours is one of it. So thank you, guys. That's like a summary of, just had to bring out some things for Nigerians to take a look at. Would it, your explanation, your earlier explanation now, would it be the explanation for a shift from consumption to production? What you've just told me right now, in terms of his attention to getting more productivity from the agricultural sector. We know that Nigeria is a population of over 200 million people. The last time I spoke with the chairman of the National Population Commission, I was told 206 million people. I don't know about now. Nigeria also has human assets.
Yes.
You know, so what does, give me in nitty-gritty what that shift in emphasis from consumption to production mean, apart from, because agri sector is just one of it, and if you take a look at the computation of our GDP, the agricultural sector is following like the services sector. You have an entertainment sector that is also like almost the second sector, creating jobs and all of that. So speak to me about what consumption to production means in these sectors.
So it's actually a comprehensive blueprint that captures the key areas and key sectors of the economy. The starting point is, first of all, let's get Nigeria competitive. Getting Nigeria competitive, getting Nigeria safe, and getting Nigeria united is the bedrock for everything we're going to build on. If you try to advance in any part of these sectors, what you find is, from my own personal experience in the corporate world, where you actually engage, start building stuff, maybe moving from import substitution. For instance, we tried to set up an orange concentrate in Benue. By the time we were done with all the changes in the economy policy and mess up, we found out that the cost of producing locally was higher than importing. That's the end of that. That is the end of it. Because which buyer is going to tell you, buy my own because it's local? So once it's dead on arrival. So how do you change all of that? Starting point is agriculture. Because when you hear agriculture, it's not just farmers going to a farm. No, you can't industrialize without the feedstock. What are the inputs you need to industrialize? Most of the areas, especially where we consume the most, is food. We're not feeding ourselves. We're not productive enough. How do we change all that? So agriculture is the bedrock, but it doesn't end just with agriculture, because once you get it right, you find that the other components of the economy will take a cue from agriculture. And what Peter B also is emphasizing is wealth with enterprise, where people really come out to do the work and get rewarded for it. And with that, incentivize other people to keep being productive. So whether you're in the entertainment industry, we were opportune to have P2B host the leaders of the entertainment industry from across the sector. And the same message, they asked them the same question. What does consumption mean to entertainment industry? He laid it out clearly. By the time you see that their content, their intellectual assets are being protected, and they see the result, fruit of their labor, that is it. So when you see that we are getting more productive, leveraging partnership, bringing the other giants in the Hollywood to partner with our local, and then advancing that, and quality is improving, and the economy is improving, and their dollars, naira parity is stable, it gives you the ability to plan, and you will see the power of the private sector. All we are talking about will actually be done by the private sector, but they're looking for who they can have confidence in. You will be shocked what is going to happen when Peter B. declared president-elect. You will be shocked by the level of confidence. I have been with him to diaspora. I know they are waiting for him to get in. The confidence level will, first of all, drop naira, dollar to naira to a level that will make you believe the point I'm making yesterday. So what that means is that P2B will inspire this new revolution. And when you begin to see it, it will move from the cultivation of the land to the processing locally, to getting feedstock, then ultimately to industrialization. And the same thing is going to do in the oil and gas sector. We know the opportunity abound in these sectors and other key sectors of the economy, without also forgetting the human capital development. He has always emphasized, and this is an area that he was adjudged the best in Nigeria during his tenure as governor, where he took education from number 26 to number 1 in Nigeria. The same thing here. We will emphasize, he will emphasize, him and Dati Babaman will emphasize the need to invest more in human capacity and getting people out of poverty and ultimately ensuring that rule of law progresses in Nigeria. And this is where issue of corruption will also be centered.
What do you say to people that are not supporters of P2B and your party at this point, that everything we're seeing right now is cosmetic, coming from your party, and that he's an opportunist, and that he is riding on the wave of a movement that happened in 2020 and just took that opportunity, that he's not as deep as many people think that he is? Some chieftains of other parties have echoed this.
Actually, the good news is that people who usually say this lack character, lack content, with due respect. Check their records. I can't even mention names here, but I'll prefer to leave it.
No direct attacks.
No, but that's the thing I keep saying. When you have certain people who you know who they are, you know their trends, you know what they've said in the past, why do you discuss such people? Why do you even give them airtime? Why do you bring them here to interview them? You know what they are of. So,
but everyone
what are
should
real
give a
people?
chance to
I
speak.
understand that, but
every opinion counts.
every opinion counts. I agree, but sometimes I feel because of their nuisance, you tend to give them more than they deserve, as if they count more than those who really matter. Have the real human beings talk and find out what they're saying. What are the elders saying? Which elders would you rather listen to today in Nigeria? In the Yoruba land, who is more patriotic than Pa Adebanjo and Olusegun Obasanjo? What are they saying? Not what Fani Kayode is saying. Why would you compare My point here is listen to people that matter. When you go to Middle Belt, who would you respect more than Dr. Bitrus Bogo, their president? When you go to Pandev, who would you respect more than Edwin Clark? What is he saying? What is Ohaneze and the real Igbo people saying? Apart from those with selfish interest, what are they saying? See, if you also forget about the elders, what are the youth saying? Are they more intelligent than these smart, creative individuals who have decided to take back their country? What are they saying? Let's hear what they're saying. Now, the point here is they have searched and searched. What can they come at P2B with? They couldn't find. They invent all kinds of things. That's why yesterday I woke up seeing 2 billion naira, something that never existed. They just manufacture something, get a fake letter written, stamp it, and circulate. So they put us on the defensive. But thank God, they don't even wait for us to react. Nigerians know the truth. What P2B has done is to set himself apart. The way he has lived and led his life is even an inspiration to me. I don't even think, even in my world to come. You know, what I tell people is, what drives these people? Some are going into this because it is their turn, not to impress us. Obviously, they're going to tell you, who are you for me to impress? But in the case of P2B, we know what is driving him. We know it's not power, it's not money. Otherwise, why would you be appointed chairman of SEC and they give you entitlements? List in writing, these are your entitlements, car, money, and all that. He said, I'm not interested, I'm only here to serve. Even your sitting allowance, don't pay me. Who else among them can say it? He also comes to you and say, I'm running based on my competency, on my character. And if you are an Igbo man, don't vote for me because I'm an Igbo man. I've challenged the other people. Can Tinubu tell the Yoruba, don't vote for me because I'm Yoruba? Can Atiku say the same thing? So when you see these differences, emphasize them, because the things that matter. What I'm saying to you is that P2B is deep, strong, competent enough to fix Nigeria. And he knows that he doesn't know it all. He's also humble enough to say, I'm going to assemble a fantastic team around me. Now we will be in a room, figure out the solution, engage Nigerians, and make sure we solve this country. And he says to you, hold me responsible, hold me accountable. Don't go away if you put me there. Stay with me, because I want to carry you along as I move on to this journey.
Okay, for those of you that are around him at this time, what kind of conversations go on in the room when you all are meeting or discussing the issue of Nigeria, the present economic issues that are bedeviling us, which are humongous, huge now? There's naira shortage, so many things happening right now. What sort of thinking, I want to go into that room imaginary, what sort of thinking goes around addressing this potpourri of economic challenges that we have, and what kind of solutions are coming out in terms of radical economic policies that perhaps will come out of his government if elected? February 25 is just about 12 days away. Nigerians have the powers in their hands to decide who their next CEO will be. So I want to know what kind of what kind of thinking.
You'll be shocked. Whenever I sit with this man, P2B, I leave wondering, this can only be God. This is indeed a man whose time has come. Otherwise, who could have imagined? And he knows it's not his effort alone. He knows what has he really done to deserve this love and acceptability. Taking a party, yes, Labour Party has been in existence. They've done well in some states in the past, but his emergence took a party and put a fresh lease of life into it.
Okay, just to cut you short too, sorry, you would answer all those.
Yeah.
Something just came to my mind. A part of the initial concern over P2B emerging as Labour, you talk about Labour Party, you know what their policies are. And this P2B is a core capitalist. And his capitalist policies, you take a look at even what is in his manifesto, of course, talking about even fuel subsidy and all of that. These are the same policies that Labour is fighting against.
P2B is a capitalist, yes. Using the word core is what I will disagree. He is not a man of extreme. In life, no extreme is good. Extreme capitalism is bad. Extreme socialism is bad. You have a right combination, and that's who P2B is. He also responded to this a few days ago in an interview where there will be, because you must be able to drive competitiveness. That's what capitalism is about. But in doing so, understand that you have social work at hand. There are people who are poor, who you need to help. How do you bring succor to those people? So there will be a combination of the two. So when we're in the room discussing, I will tell you this, you will see first a man imbued with wisdom. You see a man who is compassionate about Nigerians. You see a man who is very optimistic of the solutions. He will tell you it is daunting, but it's solvable, it's fixable.
Do you banter around some of those solutions while you're together?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Because that's what I'm interested in.
That's why. That's why I will tell you.
Do you understand? It's not about giving me sound bites or statistics. Everyone can do that. But in terms of, okay, Nigeria, we have 133 million multidimensionally poor people. Nigeria, we have 20 million children out of school. In Nigeria, we have about 19 million people would be put into extreme hunger if nothing is being done about it. Double-digit inflation at over 21%.
Yes.
These are, I want to see the how, A, B, C, okay, these are
the things what he says all the time. Trust me,
to reduce inflation and not rehashing the problems in the room.
So he will tell you, for instance, go to the issue of inflation and do the breakdown. What is the highest component of the inflation? Food inflation, precisely. Do you now know why he's focused on agriculture? This is it. He will tell you what is he going to do in the area of agriculture. How does he galvanize both the state and local to play their part while looking for how to unleash the power of private sector? So what we discuss all the time are those solutions. That's why I can sit here and tell you, I'm not P2B, but I can almost tell you the things he's saying because I have been around him enough to know, and I know that he means it. And that's why I also keep saying this. See, P2B is somebody who is in a hurry to leave a legacy that will transcend over time. That's why he will also look at the northern people and say, I will be your best friend. Because what I'm going to do here, you would have been wondering, why did you wait now to make me your president? They'll be regretting that they waited till 2023 to make him president. Because they've been, we've all done this in Nigeria, where we play the politics of, religion and ethnicity. It hasn't helped us. Look at where we are. When we even talk about this poverty and all of the out-of-school children, most of them are in the north. And north is in power now. So wait and see what is going to happen there. So I am happy to tell you this. Be confident, Nancy. If you're even thinking of leaving Nigeria, don't bother. P2B is coming.
I have a lot of people that have left. They are still living. Even within this company, people are living. Even within the financial sector, a lot of people,
coming. Don't worry.
People are living. And anyway, but just as we end the program, you mentioned something earlier, which was that despite the polls taking, talking about P2B as the top pick, I saw Bloomberg did say, that P2B is the top pick, and some other polls, that you are still working hard.
Yes.
What does that mean, really?
So, that's the thing about this election as well. Nigeria has gotten to the doldrums that you honestly require a lot of physical and mental energy. With due respect, I respect all these our elders, from Atiku to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. They would have achieved a lot more when they were younger. At the age they are today, there's a limitation. That's a fact of life. This is not talking down on anybody. This is the fact of the matter. You require a lot of, in fact, you can't afford not to wake up and be in the office 7 a.m. every morning if you want to succeed as a president of Nigeria. Who is fit enough to get it done? God has blessed P2B with that physical and mental energy. And this is what you're seeing. This is one man that can be in 5 states in one day. I can point just a few days ago. That's why he's the first person to cover Nigeria, even as a primary candidate, somebody seeking for tickets. He's the first person to cover the entire Nigeria in this campaign. And it's not even over. As I speak to you now, we have a lineup of states to visit. He's the only person that has toured the whole of the world, from Germany to Rome to Canada.
But other candidates are also traveling.
Come on. Check the statistics. Check properly. He goes in 20 places, they go in one place. They say they are traveling. Most time when they travel for medical checks. My dear sister, what I'm saying to you is, this requires physical, mental energy. P2B has demonstrated he's the hardest working human being I've ever met. I met one of my bosses before, and I said to him, I used to think you're a hard worker. You're nothing.
Who is that? Tony
I don't want to talk about it.
Your former boss, who I know, is Tony Lumumba.
There are many of them. There are many of them.
I got that out of you, isn't it? Okay, just how many? Okay, we have, I think, a minute to the end. What else do you have to say? Because I'm taking a look at the manifesto here. P2B's manifesto saying it's possible, our pact with Nigerians, and so many things is really out there for Nigerians to see. Is there any, what are your closing statements to Nigerians? Just 12 days to the elections.
For me,
something else that you haven't said.
For me, just 2 things I want to leave Nigerians with. One is, this is an opportunity God is presenting to us so that we, once more, can be proud of this country. I may not be in a position to say this, but I'll say this. Trust P2B. Trust him, he will deliver. He will do Nigerians proud. If you have any fears, dissipate those fears. Oh, some will tell you about Biafra, all those forget those, In fact, I love the way Nyanwodo spoke about this when we hosted him on a Twitter space yesterday. So some of the fears are totally unfathomable, unfounded, because you know what? You need the consensus of Nigerians to take any Nigeria to a level Nigeria want to go. So let's dissipate those fears. Some will lie about P2B and Northern Nigeria. He has shown so much love. He has been one of the most generous people to the northern parts of Nigeria. So if you're from the north and you're still sitting in the fence because you don't know enough, you actually have enough dossier on P2B to demonstrate somebody who really means well for Nigeria. And
Okay.
in the end, for those who don't know, Peter Obi is not running under APC. He's not running under PDP. He's not running under ABGA. It's Labour Party. It's Papa, Mama, Pekin. Some have been confusing other people and are using Peter Obi's name to sell their own party. It is Labour Party, LP, Papa, Mama, Pekin.
So on that note, I think we'll leave it for today. Just 12 days to the elections. What you get to see, at least on the next few days on the show, is critically looking at these candidates, perhaps also getting them here, or getting chieftains of their party or advisors to those presidential candidates to come and speak. Tomorrow we have another party that we will be spotlighting, or another presidential candidate rather, that we will be spotlighting, because they should own it. So thank you very much, Valentine.
Thank you so much. Thank you
for coming.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Valentine Ozigbo, who is the special advisor to Peter Obi on technology and strategic alliances. He was the 2021 gubernatorial candidate in Anambra State. He was also the GCEO, that's the Group Chief Executive Officer at the time of Transcorp Hotels. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji.